This is NEGOTIATEx TV.
All right. Awesome. Now we have Plumley. He says, advice when joining after someone in your organization previously made unauthorized commitments with a significant power broker. And Aaron, before you even kick off this answer, this has probably been all of your experiences in Afghanistan. Definitely has been mine. And when I was teaching this to the special operations, cultural affair guys, this was always seems like the question that came up. And that's, what do I do when the last guy made all these crazy commitments and then just happened to walk away? And now I'm stuck here carrying this. So, Aram, over to you.
Yeah. So first of all, let me just acknowledge Plumley, real problem, not just in the military, but as I work with clients in, tech sector and others, anybody who's working with a supplier and you inherit. And a lot of times what's interesting to me is I know how poorly sometimes in the military we do handoffs around what's been said and relationships and stuff. It's amazing to me how often that happens in the private sector as well. So I think it's a very real problem and more common than we expect or we realize. So I think, first of all, analyzing and understanding the nature of the problem. So there's a relationship component. There were commitments made. And so our ability to follow through is going to say something about the relationship between the organizations. And any failure to do that is going to feel like a lie. So it's about, there's a relationship piece there. There's also perhaps, obviously the commitment piece, which is, are there any repercussions to either side not following through? Might be, there could be legal ramifications. The truth is that when we make a commitment with somebody, what we really want is, rather than have to leverage any of those sort of contingencies, is we really want them to execute. That's why we made the agreement, because it was beneficial to both of us, if we negotiated this well, to execute the agreement. So we're losing that. It's amazing how many actual agreements never see the value that we thought we're going to create. It's something like only 40-something% actually kind of create the value. But there's also a legitimacy piece here too, around the precedent that was set. And so now you're inheriting that as well. You're inheriting this precedent from a previous negotiation that was really poor. And now you're having to renegotiate that, and you don't have a good precedent to point to. So I think you've just got to address, now that you've done some analysis on it, address it. And one of the ways to address it is through a new process. I'd be quite open and transparent and say, what was agreed to previously has these problems. What details of that can I follow through on? Because we recognize we as an organization made a commitment to you. So what can we follow through on? And are there things that need to be renegotiated? And recognizing that there may be a cost now to renegotiate, and cost of the relationship. Don't want to do that. I'm going to try to be transparent with you. I'm going to try to be above board. There may be a cost to just in terms of if we reopen the negotiation now because it was poorly done before, you're going to bring some new things to the table too. So we're both going to have to be okay with kind of exploring everything, which could include going with our alternatives, walking away from the arrangement we had before. So I think, so this is kind of just shedding light on it. So this is about communication, negotiating the way we're going to negotiate, and being incredibly transparent in our communication and recognizing costs both ways, and trying to restore what was kind of lost in the previous interaction.
It's definitely not going to be easy to overcome, but with some solid work and staying in the circle, it's definitely going to at least help you out there. Okay, sounds like you were good with that. Now, Suro's got a good one here. To contextualize the 7 elements of negotiation into international diplomacy. So, do you think it is necessary to refer to established standards of legitimacy when dealing with the counterpart, like Vladimir Putin, for example, whose version of legitimacy might not be very legitimate at all?
So I knew doing this, we were going to get a Putin question today. That was just inevitable. Okay, so it's a complex question, Suro, in that it's rarely helpful in a negotiation to assume that the other person I'm negotiating with is crazy, evil, or stupid. Okay, because that's going to immediately shut down the way I approach them, and limit the maybe the effectiveness of my negotiations. So I tend to say I want to reserve that idea. Now, are there crazy, evil, and stupid people out there? Yeah, there are. So I'm not trying to be kind of naive here. I'm just saying that it tends to limit the range of actions I can take. Um, so the first thing I want to do when dealing with somebody who's incredibly difficult, and maybe it would be easier just to assume that they're crazy, evil, or stupid, is to take that step back and try to understand how they see their choice. So I would certainly do that in the case of Putin. Is what's his choice, and I try to take an objective look at it. Doesn't mean I like it. We work with hostage negotiators with the FBI, and they are oftentimes negotiating with somebody who's just killed someone or is holding a child hostage, and they don't want to connect personally with this person, but they have a mission to accomplish, and so they're forced to. And then the first part of the FBI's model is to lower the emotion and make a connection so they can try to either stall for time or get a peaceful resolution to whatever has occurred. So sometimes you have to negotiate with people who are less than savory. And I think being able to set aside my personal feelings about that becomes really, really, really important. Being able to try to ask myself, how might they be seeing this? How do they see their choice? What do they think they're asking? And then again, a full understanding of kind of the playing field, which is, I'm going to go back, Plumlee's comment, what's been done in the past, because I would say that what is happening in 2022 isn't just a factor of 2022. It's a factor of what happened in 2014 between Russia, the Ukraine, Crimea responses internationally. It's an indicator of what happened in the 90s too. So you got to go back and you got to have a kind of a holistic picture. You got to play the whole stakeholder map out, right? This isn't certainly not just a US Russia or Ukraine Russia. There's all the countries in Europe, and some of those are probably better at maybe taking lead. Who needs to carry the water? Because the US Russian relationship might be a little more stressful. So who needs to take lead instead? Is it a France? Is it a Germany? Is it an Italy? And being able to play that. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Alex's comment, right? Yeah. Legitimacy can often it's a matter of perspective. And so, what is fair and reasonable, is going to be part of that conversation. It just may not be the first part. And again, we're weighing that with alternatives and other things. I want to go to Alex's point here. Yeah. And I think so, Alex, to your point, and is that it's the nature of the conversation then about what is fair, reasonable, particularly about as we come back. I mean, good commitments are going to have built into them opportunities to follow up, and that's going to enhance the relationship for future negotiations, right? And you're talking about a customer when something is built, and hopefully this is going to be a repeat customer. So we need to have that conversation. And yeah, that's a little less hostile. The interesting thing, going back to Suro's question, is what have the discussions been like in the 8 years since 2014? And I'm not sure, I wasn't there, so I can't speak, but were they as productive and effective and right? Or did we just ignore things because didn't seem to be a problem, but really there was a problem brewing? I think to Alex's question, right, I don't want to have a conversation around that customer and understand really the details of why they're unhappy. And then be able to share my perspective on why I thought it really was to standard, right? And compare, right? Whether the components and everything else, timeline, whatever it might be.
Hey, thanks for checking out this video on NEGOTIATEx TV. If you found any value at all, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification icon if you want to be notified of future videos. And then we also have a couple videos over here that you might be interested in checking out. If you and your small business, your team are looking to get negotiations or leadership training, then you can head over to negotiatex.com and learn more about the coaching services we offer. Thanks, and I'll see you over in the next video.